So I'm standing in my closet, and I'm about to change from my work clothes and into my mommy uniform, which are yoga pants and an old college sweatshirt. And just hours earlier, I had met with my boss, Adrian, to deliver some news that kind of felt like a breakup. I wasn't coming back to work. Now, I should have felt relieved, or maybe even excited, but I didn't. It's 2008. I'm 29 years old. I had meticulously followed the script for a successful life. A math degree from UC Berkeley, a decade climbing the ranks at Sun Microsystems, an amazing and supportive husband, beautiful home in San Francisco, and now a baby boy. By all accounts, I should have been overjoyed. I had ticked off all the boxes. Get good grades to get into a good college. Get into a good college to get a good job. Get a good job to make lots of money. Now, the unspoken formula for success says, make lots of money so that then you'll be happy. But what happens when you tick off all the boxes and you still feel empty? You see, for most of my life, I was a junior overachiever, very much like many of you here, I'm sure. All AP classes, student government, led every club, started 2 businesses before I was 16. I had placed all my faith in that formula I should be following to live a good life. But it was in exchange for my well-being. The unfortunate side effect was that I developed a severe eating disorder, OCD, and insomnia. And despite the shiny exterior of success, I was crippled with fear and anxiety, and was, quite frankly, pretty miserable. And never once did it occur to me how ironic it was that here I am, working myself to the bone to be successful and happy, but I'm anything but happy. I never questioned my approach because I was doing what I should be doing, because that's what a successful person does, right? Well, my infant son was the wake-up call I did not see coming. Maternity leave was ending, and I couldn't go back to work. Holding this precious baby in my arms forced me to ask a question I had never once entertained. What do you really want, Amy? That question seemed irresponsible and indulgent. But I had to honestly confront the thought of leaving this child I loved so much for a stress that consumed me. And for what? I mean, yeah, I needed a job. But the contrast between this love I felt and the anxiety and the rat race I knew was on the other side of going back was so great that I buckled. And I just couldn't go back. But my job, my successes, my accomplishments, that was everything to me. So if I couldn't go back, well then, who am I? So here I am, standing in my closet, paralyzed, sunken, pained, confused, and an impulse to surrender just washes over me. I give up. I'm not going to try to figure this out anymore. And the moment I stopped resisting my experience, I was hit with an insight. Wait a minute. You've been chasing all the things you thought you should be chasing to be happy, forsaking the actual feeling of happiness. So doing what you should, according to who knows what, leaves you with a great life on paper, but feeling hopelessly lost and hollow. And then I saw it clearly. The word should was the problem. So I immediately committed to figuring out why. And I'm excited to share with you what I discovered. So let's imagine, for the sake of argument, that you could map all emotions on a vertical scale from a very positive feeling all the way down to a very negative feeling. We got neutral in the middle. Now, I don't know about you, but I like to hang out above the neutral line. And from what I've seen, a lot of folks like to hang out up here too. And maybe that's true for you too. Okay, now what I discovered was this. Negative emotion often stems from one thing: our resistance to reality. Now, when I push against what is, either by not wanting it, judging it, or wishing it were different, I feel negativity. And to the degree that I push is to the degree that I feel negative. And conversely, the less I resist reality, the more positive or neutral I feel. Now, take my experience with maternity leave. My frustration didn't come from the actual length of leave itself. It came from my resistance to the existing policy. For the months prior, I kept thinking, oh, it should be longer. Now, for many of you, it might not be maternity leave. It might be midterms. Now, anxiety doesn't come from the exams themselves. It comes from your resistance to their inevitability. Or it comes from your resistance to an imagined future state where you don't do well. So as I explored this idea that resistance to reality forced me below neutral, which was what I didn't want, I also saw this as a bandwidth issue. Resistance takes resources. Let me illustrate. So I've got this water bottle here, and it's pretty full. Let's say it's about 2 pounds. Okay? And so let's imagine that the weight of this water bottle represents all the resistance that I'm sustaining right now. So for example, I should have woken up earlier today and did yoga so I could have some energy because, man, today's a really big day. And, I really should feel more prepared. I mean, I am doing a TEDx talk, and that's kind of important. And I should have practiced all morning, and I didn't. So to the degree I've got resistance running like that, that's like me holding this out while I'm having this conversation with you. Now, can I do a talk like this? Maybe. But this is pretty distracting. It's eating up the resources I need in order to be eloquent for and connected with you all. This doesn't serve me. And yet, this is what many of us are doing every day with our subtle habits of resisting what is. So I got really curious. Well, what are the ways in which I resist? So I deconstructed my experience down that emotional scale, and what I found was that any one of these negative emotions could be predicated on a should statement. Confused. There's something I should know here that I don't. Bored. There's something I should be doing that I'm not. Frustrated. That shouldn't have happened. Angry. You shouldn't have done that. Down to revenge. My personal favorite. You should pay. So I looked into the word should, and I found that the word should is considered a cognitive distortion in the field of psychology. Now, cognitive distortion refers to irrational or biased thought patterns that negatively affect how individuals perceive themselves, others, and the world around them. And just reflect for a moment on your experiences with the word should. Right? You shouldn't eat so much sugar. You really should have studied harder. Yeah. You really should get your moles checked by a dermatologist. Now, how does that feel? Not great, right? But why? Should seems to imply that there's some standard ideal out there that we need to measure ourselves up against in order to live the good life. But does that external should standard exist? I mean, I know as humans, we make agreements on how to cooperate and coexist. For example, we have an agreement to drive on the right side of the road in the United States. And we have agreements on when to show up to work. And we have agreements on when to turn the clock for daylight savings. But is there an external should standard that tells us exactly how we're supposed to do it? No. We make agreements, and we attempt to abide by those agreements. But should is a bit trickier because if left unchecked, it can hold us underneath the neutral line unnecessarily. Let me show you what I mean. So let's take that emotional scale and let's flip it on its axis. And let's imagine that, just for the sake of argument, that everything I want in the world is on this side of me. Okay, so what might that be? That might be love and joy, and it's stuff like amazing job offers, and clarity of purpose, and world peace. That's on this side. And now let's imagine that everything I don't want in the world is on this side of me. Okay, what's that? That might be debt and rejection and missed opportunity. And it's stuff like messy roommates and broken toilets and evil mother-in-laws. That's on this side. Okay, so when we use the word should, here's what's going on. When we use the word should, in most cases, not all, we're focused more on pushing away the stuff we don't want than we are on realizing what we actually want. Let me give you an example. I should go to the gym. Okay, let's just do a poll right here, right now. Raise your hand if you've said, I should go to the gym in the past week. Okay, look around. That's a lot of you. Okay, very common statement, yeah? Okay, so I should go to the gym. If I say I should go to the gym, I've tricked myself into thinking I'm moving optimally in this direction. Now, what's in this direction of what I want? What I ultimately want is health and endurance and strength and flexibility and youthfulness. But let's be clear, if I say I should go to the gym, I'm not thinking about that stuff. What I'm honestly focused on is, I ate too much cheese last night. Or, my jeans feel a little tight. And when I use the word should, what's more in my focus are the negative consequences I want to avoid, and I use resistance to push it away from me. Now, which way am I moving when I do that? I'm moving in this way. So in a sense, it's effective. But what I wonder about is the hidden cost. Facing all the stuff I don't want, like tight jeans and rejection and debt, that doesn't feel great. But by using resistance to push it away from me, that affects my mood and it eats up my resources. Now, on every flip side of a should is a want. And what if? The secret to unlocking more creativity, more productivity, and flow is pivoting from pushing against stuff we don't want and focusing more on what we do want. Now get this. According to the psychologist Barbara Fredrickson, negative emotions, they narrow our focus and restrict our thinking. And by contrast, positive emotions, they do the opposite. So emotions like joy and contentment and curiosity, they broaden our thought-action repertoires and allow for more creative, flexible, and integrative thinking. And this is what she calls the broaden and build theory. So essentially what this translates to is that when we focus more on what we want and stop pushing against the stuff we don't want, we have more energy and ideas available to us. So how does that apply to our example? Let's say later today, after today, you leave the talk and you catch yourself saying, I should go to the gym. And you stop and you say, nope, not gonna should on myself, not gonna do it, not gonna do it. What do I actually want? And as you pivot your awareness to what you actually want, you realize, I want to feel good. I want to feel strong. I want to feel connected and energized. And in this new perceptual horizon of broadened possibility, you have the realization, it's a beautiful day. I think I'm going to call my neighbor. I'm going to see if she wants to go on a hike with me. We can watch the sunset. And with this shift in awareness, you have access to things like friendship, nature, health, sunshine, all your stuff that's in your vision of what's wanted. So by turning from should to want, we can promote a state of mind that is conducive to enhanced creativity, problem solving, and well-being. And this pivoted approach just might be the bridge to a better future. And that's what happened in my case. At age 29, when I woke up to the spell of should, I committed to focusing solely on what I want to see and feel and stop pushing against what I don't want. And very quickly, within weeks, my inspiration led me to graduate school, where I had to put the should-want distinction to the test. Do I get a graduate degree in physics or transpersonal psychology? And it was subtle. All parts of me were screaming yes to either option. But when I got really honest with myself, as much as I loved the idea of going deep on physics, I could tell it was coming from a should. You know, Amy, you should do physics because it follows from your work in math. And there was a subtle impulse to avoid a negative consequence of wasting all those years on math if I didn't have anything to show for it in my future. But transpersonal psychology, wanted to know more about that, so I followed it. And very quickly, my calling revealed itself. And I tapped into an innate strength for teaching and facilitating, something I never took serious in the should paradigm. And then that led me to become certified in coaching and conversational intelligence. And next thing I know, creativity, abundance, and significantly less stress became my new baseline. And better, it led to a bigger family with my husband, and now we have 2 exceptional children. Now, all this takes is a commitment to pivoting from should to want. And this commitment not only unlocked my life into more freedom, flexibility, and flow, but it has unlocked creative internal resources for many of the professionals and leaders that I've worked with over the past decade. Now, here's how you can commit to the pivot and unlock creative resources for yourself. Now, first, you've got to care about how you feel, because how you feel is telling you where your focus is. Are you up here or are you down here? Now, if you're feeling good, just keep doing what you're doing. But the moment you catch yourself below neutral, that's your cue. Ooh, what am I resisting? Namely, what is the should statement that's running in the background? But should according to whom? Affirm. There is no way things should be. Let go of that false premise. Now, sometimes, most often, the moment you see the futility of the resistance that you're sustaining, it often disappears. But sometimes it might not be enough. And if that's the case, you got to go further. And that's when you have to decide, what do I actually want to see? What do I want to feel? Get clear on the vision state. Now, this clarity often immediately leads to, I will. It's about taking action in the direction of what feels right and good without resistance. With more access to energy and ideas, you work to create a vision of what you actually want instead of pushing against stuff you don't want. That's a waste. Now, what I share here, it's not a switch you find to go resistance and should free forevermore. It's a moment-by-moment practice based upon how you feel. And imagine if more of us got better at this and worked to apply this pivot to the many challenges we face today. Imagine the abundance of creativity, inspiration, and innovative solutions that might emerge. Now, I encourage you in the next couple of days, check in with how you feel. If you find yourself below neutral, stop. What's the should running in the background? Pivot. What do I want to see? What do I want to feel? This is not about ignoring responsibility. This is about aligning with your true desires and using all your resources to create a reality you actually want. Thank you.